Have you ever thought about why conflicts arise in the family? Often, we find ourselves experiencing tensions, misunderstandings, and arguments with the people we love the most, and this is what makes their existence so difficult to accept. But if we look beyond the surface, beyond those unsaid words or those impulsive reactions, we discover that conflicts are nothing more than a manifestation of our need for connection, our desire to be understood, and, in some way, recognized. Conflicts, therefore, are not enemies to be feared or avoided. On the contrary, they can be precious opportunities to explore the deepest part of ourselves and others. When a conflict arises, it is as if a lighthouse is turned on inside us, illuminating an area in which perhaps we have not yet allowed ourselves to see clearly. It is an invitation to observe with different eyes, to perceive that situation, not only as a problem, but as an opportunity for growth and understanding. Think for a moment about the last conflict you experienced. It could have been with a partner, a child, a parent, or even a close friend. What exactly happened? What emotions took over? Maybe it was frustration, anger, or a feeling of being misunderstood. Now ask yourself, what were you really trying to achieve in that moment? Were you looking for a practical solution, or maybe you just wanted to be heard and understood? Conflicts often arise, and they are not born from what happens externally, but from what happens inside us. It is our perception, our limited point of view that leads us to believe that we are separate from others, and from this separation tension is born. In reality, each of us wants the same thing, to be recognized for what we are, to be loved and accepted unconditionally. But what if, in the midst of conflict, we took a moment to step back? What if we stopped trying to be right or defend our point of view, and simply tried to understand the other person's point of view? In that moment, everything would change. Because in the silence that follows conflict, when we stop fighting to get our opinion across, we realize that deep down, we are all looking for the same thing, peace and connection. Imagine if, in our family, every time a conflict arises, we saw it as an opportunity to get closer to each other. Instead of seeing the other as an enemy, we could start to see it as a partners in a game of mutual understanding. Every conflict offers us a message, invites us to reconsider something, to review a thought or belief that perhaps is holding us back. A conflict can be seen as a wave in the ocean. It may seem stormy and difficult to manage at the time, but like any wave, it has its course. If we oppose it, if we try to resist it, we risk being overwhelmed. But if we learn to flow with it, if we learn to ride that wave, we can discover that even in moments of turbulence, there is a hidden beauty, a lesson to be learned. So, how can we resolve conflicts in the family? The answer is not found in rigid techniques or strategies, but in a state of conscious presence. Resolving a conflict does not necessarily mean finding an immediate solution or a compromise. Sometimes, the deepest resolution is simply to be present, to listen without judgment, and to allow the other to express themselves freely. It is in that moment of openness that the conflict dissolves by itself, because it has found the space to be recognized. The next time you feel a conflict brewing, try to stop for a moment and breathe. Let go of the urge to respond, defend yourself, or convince the other person that you are right. Instead, ask yourself, what is this situation trying to tell me? What can I learn from this moment? You may be surprised to see that behind the conflict lies an even deeper desire for connection. Ultimately, every conflict is an invitation to get closer to the other, but also to ourselves. It is an opportunity to practice empathy, forgiveness, and unconditional love. And when we learn to see conflicts in this light, we discover that true resolution is not about changing the other or making our point prevail, but about changing the way we see ourselves and our relationships. Because when we choose to see love, even in the midst of conflict, every difficulty becomes an opportunity to grow together. And in that growth, we find the peace we were looking for.